There's no better place to be but to be right here on your channel here on Galaxy Universal Network with your host Maponga Joshua, and we are actually here again today discussing issues of wellness, issues of life, and how we can best maintain ourselves in these lives that are ever changing. If there is anything that is expensive over and above your money and your wealth, you can do nothing without good health, because good health allows you to live and enjoy your money. So there's a proverb that says health is wealth. Without good health, even the richest man is poor. What are we doing today? I want us to look at holistic health patterns. How do we keep ourselves healthy and combining bits and pieces of our commercial health, our indigenous health systems. But at the end of the day, I hope we can reach a conclusion that says all of us, if there is anything you deserve in this life as long as you are alive, it is to be healthy. Because once you are sick, you have broken some laws in the universal space that needs to be traced. I could not find a better guest for you today, but find my honorable friend. Ngiti is my colleague, Ngiti is spiritual teacher, and because on my journey, I had to go through the turbulent waters.
Yeah.
Where you're starting to ask questions, and it has not been an easy road. Can you just introduce us as who is this famous Gogo Dineo we hear about far and wide?
I'm honored that you see me as famous. I guess the people have made me famous. I think we are equally famous.
You are a star in my sky, so that's good enough.
It takes one to know one. So it's interesting because even with people, we've got people tuning online who I'm hosting you on my page online and you hosting me.
Hello everybody out there.
So we're having a conversation about, yes, I'm a Sangoma and I want to own that title very boldly and unapologetically. So meaning that I'm trained to be an African spiritual healer. And the type of training I did is Ubungoma. And I'm a Heal Your Life teacher, I'm a life coach, I'm a systems coach, I'm a facilitator, I'm a storyteller, I'm a performing artist. I am so many things.
Wow. We can meet in few places there.
Yeah.
Again, here on the arts and stuff. It's a general cliche that Sangoma is a blanket statement. And let me get another view. What are the different areas of specialties within the healing space that you're functioning in? Because once you say Sangoma, it's almost like the educated African blankets everything together. And it is difficult for them to know actually that there are various departments, so to speak, within your practice.
So people, I mean, we are traditional African healers, but I also refrain from traditional African healers because then people put another blanket.
Yeah.
But we are African spiritual healers, and I think you are also an African spiritual healer.
Yeah.
Because it's people who are working to heal the spirit.
Okay.
It's people who are working to heal the broken African spirit and to help it return back to its Africanness.
Fantastic.
And there's many different types of those type of healers.
Just maybe pick up one or two or three.
So Sangoma, you have to be called to be a Sangoma. So you can't choose to say, oh, I like this thing. You know, I like Gogo. I think I can be like Gogo.
Yeah, I can deal with this.
Because we see a lot of people now emerging proudly, but we need to understand that were you also called, or are you owning the title because now you were told you were called? Did you go through the processes of initiation to be a Sangoma? Because you have to be called. And a Sangoma, it's an intermediary between the living and the ancestors. Then there is Amaketla, which are also known as Inyanga, but Inyanga, it's all of us, because Inyanga, it means we are healers under the sun, because we heal through nature. Yes, exactly. And then Amaketla, herbalists, so they specialize in the medicinal plants, the bulbs, the roots, and the medicinal properties that those things. Then we have also African surgeons, we have African midwives, and then we also have Abatandazeli, so those who trained in the church, or who uses what we call the church way of healing. And I put it in this because we need to also understand where that innovation came from. When we were not allowed to practice, when there was the Witchcraft Act that got passed on to say we were called witch doctors, you can't go see one of us, and we needed to be innovative. You know, Africans, we've always been innovative.
Creative around
we had to be creative, and we needed to find a way.
That's interesting.
Yes, we needed to
so
find a way.
So they're actually healers who are in churches, who are just putting on the I like that history.
Yeah.
That it was an innovation around the laws of segregation. So we ended up actually having indigenous African spiritualists working in from the church space.
And that's why these prophetic churches like Postola and Zion, they would have different segments of it, or different sectors, or different, I don't want to say
Hierarchies
cults.
sort of thing.
Yeah, not hierarchies, but they would have like Kereke Aspir. They would take Kereke Aspir, where people wear red, and the rituals would happen around. The time of Sangomas, and they would be quite similar to Sangoma practices, because in that way in South Africa you wouldn't find yourself in trouble with the law.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what needed to happen.
That's a new one for me. You just switched on a whole bulb.
Really?
In my head.
And there I am thinking, you know, all of this information.
The life is beautiful. It places information in each other, so you can feed from each other. According to you, what is healing? When I come to you right now, I got a stomach problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you come to me and you have a stomach problem. I don't look at the stomach problem. I look at everything else that the stomach represents. Because as a healer, I look at what is not at ease with you, disease.
Okay.
And
Disease.
Ease. Something is not at ease.
You guys, hold on. You better be taking notes here. The classroom has just started. I thought it was disease. For the first time I'm hearing it's dis-ease. So you're not at ease with yourself.
Yeah,
wow.
Something is not at ease with you. So if something is not at ease with you, then a symptom will emerge.
It causes a
like
symptom.
A stomach pain. You know, something with, if you've got a stomach problem, it depends also what's going on with the stomach. So as a spiritual healer, I deeply interrogate why and why and why. Because you might have a stomach problem because there was no ceremony that was done to root you and ground you in your identity within your ancestral lineage. So you have issues with the stomach, or it could be that you are carrying spiritual gifts and you don't want to embrace them, because we understand the symbolism of the stomach. The gut is where forms of life begin. Everything begins here.
Wow.
And if things are not done right here with your own beginning of life, then you can manifest a symptom of a stomach problem.
So you don't treat stomachs.
I don't treat
You'd
symptoms.
rather look your symptoms. You'd rather look at the entire person. And in your experience, what is one of the highest causes of disease
right now?
Yes.
So,
or in general,
yeah.
when people usually get sick and when the symptoms manifest, what would you consider to be one of the highest health, again, spiritual health, whatever it is, that causes that disease?
When people are not at ease again with themselves, when people are not deeply rooted and grounded, they attract everything and anything. And then they become prone to disease. They become prone to things. I mean, if we look at the whole thing of COVID right now, for those of us who are anxiety babies and are panic babies, we would mostly attract it.
You'll pick it up.
You'll pick it up. You'll attract it, you know? So if you are not at ease with yourself, then you would be able to. But diet is also important. What we eat. And what we eat is not only food that we consume, but it's also thoughts that we think.
Wow.
It's also conversations that we engage in
Wow.
with. It's also company that we keep.
Wow.
It's a whole lot of things. What you are consuming could either be toxins or could be nutrients.
Hey, you guys, I don't think you guys are here. I think I'm the only one who is hearing here today. So it's not just about what you put on your table in terms of the food that you eat. It's this type of food you put through your ears, what you're listening to, the type of food you're putting through your eyes, what you see. Some of you are watching movies and violence and and that's all you are consuming. The type of emotions you are keeping company, that
The clothing you're wearing.
Clothing you're wearing. And the extensions sometimes. And the hair that you put on. And the energies that all these things work into your space. I love that. That's fresh. That's fresh. Because many people, I mean, particularly if you can look into the Thai Christian experiences, people would think that when they do this, they are now stepped out of spirituality. But they spend all their days consuming rotten things. And then on one day a week, then they are thinking they can get to church and detox.
But let's speak about that, because I'm also curious to hear from you about your definition of religion and spirituality. Because when I say something is not ease, because we are human beings, we are spirit beings having a spiritual experience. So we can think we are religious, so we are in alignment, but religion can take us away from our own spirituality and our spiritual groundedness. So let's speak. I would like to hear what your definition
My
is.
definition of religion. Religion are institutions that govern and manage people's spiritual growth and expectations.
Yeah.
Whereas spirituality is a journey an individual journey to be exploring your truth. Therefore, religion cannot do without spirituality, but spirituality can do without religion, because one can function without the institution, whereas the other one needs an institution to manage it. And in my world, I'm not conflicted. I might use the word interchangeably, but in the context of thought, religion for me remains, and particularly when you say religion, let's be clear, we're actually talking particularly on Eurocentric Christian traits, Asianic traits of how to access God, and the Yahweh. But when it comes to Africans, in our essence of being, who have never had an institutionalized religion, worship could happen under a tree, and on a rock, on a path. You don't have to wait for a day, though the ceremonies are there, but it becomes a lifestyle.
But you also see, when we go back to the whole issue of health and wellness, the minute we lost our spirituality and adopted religion that is not our own, we started to manifest diseases in many forms and many shapes, economically, spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, because then we are now trying to consume what was not meant and built for us. So we lost ourselves in that way. That's what I said. What is the major cause of disease is we have lost our way and we've lost our path, especially as Africans.
Okay. I want to probe a very nice one, which is very on the ground floor.
Yeah.
Genealogies and healing. Can you maybe just take us quickly on the value, the importance of your lineages and places of birth, parental connections and roots that are flowing into you? How does this whole genealogical information feed into the wellness of the person?
So, I mean, the fact that you are calling yourself Joshua, the fact that I'm calling myself Dineo, and I'm not sure, is Maponga your surname?
Yes.
Yeah, right? So who are you calling that lived before you? Every time people call you by that name, you are calling forward a genealogy that existed before you. So whether we want to acknowledge that we patla, but we patla even by announcing Stole, Ramalepe, Mashaba, Kumalo. By announcing those, it's already a connection. It's
with
already
genealogy.
Yes, it's already because you are because they were. Because if we also look at the whole thing of ancestry and our surnames, we never really had surnames as Africans.
Yes.
Right? Surnames are actually who gave birth to who after who after who after who. But because we understand that we did not come to this existence on our own, we are part of energy, because in African spirituality, the body dies, but the spirit goes on to live and becomes one with source, which Tina Sibiza Umvelingangi. Umudimu, because when we say God, it gets quite confusing for us. For me, it gets confusing because I see something else that I don't resonate with. But the minute when you are connected to your people, you are connected to that energy source. So it's very important to be connected, because you cannot denounce and demonize those who've given birth to you. It means you're a product of demons. You're a baby demon.
We're waiting to become a demon. Because if your grandfather who died is a demon, what does that make you?
But even science tells us that actually you cannot destroy energy, it just transforms.
It just transforms.
And energy is what is spirit, because spirit you can't contain, it's infinite, and you can't see it. The same way with the atom, you can't, even when you look, it's like this whole thing that is forever circulating. So when you look at African spirituality, it understood everything: science, spirituality, health. And that's why when we heal, we always would ask why. Why a headache? Why a stomach problem? Why are your feet sore? Versus to say, no, your feet are sore because you've been walking. You know, it could be your feet are sore because you have not been walking in the right direction. You have not been following the path in which you're supposed to follow.
There is a spiritual dimension to physical manifestation. That's what I'm hearing.
We don't look at disease just from a biomedical condition, because mainstream healthcare wants to define every disease as a biomedical cause. Even when we look at corona, the way in which it's being looked at right now is biomedically. Yes, we understand that the causes could be, but have we looked at the causes could be spiritual?
Spiritual dimension.
Can they ask spiritual healers like us to deeply interrogate and ask what is happening in the cosmologies, what is happening in our own ancestral genealogy?
What is caused?
What is the root cause? Because something is not right somewhere in the cosmologies. Hence, we're experiencing this global pandemic. pandemic, I say that we're experiencing what we're experiencing because the systems of operations don't serve everyone. They've only served a minority. And we all know that, you know, and that's why things have to turn on their heads. But are we willing for that shift and that change?
I want us to move to something very, very nice and soft, but which is a no discussion for many of my Christian friends, even Muslim friends. When it comes to the Africans, it is actually a confused subject. It is confused because no one maybe has bothered to decode it for me. I'm still looking for information in this regard. The issue of dreams and visions. Everybody, the old and the young, the rich and the poor, the born again, spirit casting, binding, and etc. When they sleep at night, we all visit the world of dreams, which unfortunately many times and often has been a demonized space. In that case, then all of us are demon possessed, because we visit this spiritual realm. Take me through the concept of dreams and visions.
What does Christianity say about it?
It's confused because the Bible is written, half of it is dreams and visions. But when it comes to people practicing it now, dreams are deemed as a visiting station of demons. Unless you saw an angel or you saw a white Jesus, then it's fine. But everything else that you see there is meant to be a visitation of demons. So Christianity, up to now, we don't find Christians asking each other, what did you dream last night? What did you dream last night? Because if we begin sharing what we dreamed last night, we may just discover that all of us are in different spaces of spirituality. So I honestly would want to put my guards down and say, take me through this concept of dreams. What are they? What do they represent? What happens in the realm of dreams?
Because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So how are we reminded that we are spiritual beings is dreams. Because when the body is resting, the spirit is active. And it goes and connects to the spirit world. And in the spirit world, things do happen. And they happen in multiple levels. So they happen in a form of that it reminds you of things that you have not dealt with that are in your subconscious mind. So if you've experienced trauma or pain, so you wake up with a dream of violence, for example, or you were raped or something, it's because you haven't healed that incident that occurred to you. Or they happen at a metaphorical or symbolic thing, which is what we as Africans relate to, is that the message that is coming could be a symbol meaning something else. So you could be dreaming of a wedding, but it could mean that actually a cycle is ending so that a new one can begin. So a life might die, it's a rebirth. But they could also be prophetic, and I find it very ironical. By the way, I grew up most of my life as a born-again Christian, so I can speak within that context. I mean,
you also used to hit some tongues there.
Yeah, no, and I used to preach.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I used to also preach against African spirituality, and look where I am right now.
It'd be nice to hear what happened there.
Yeah, so no, what happened there is that I didn't understand why God was taking time to answer my prayers. And I understood that actually I was talking to the wrong kind of person. So I needed to find uNkulunkulu. I needed to find Mudimu. So then they become prophetic. And most people who have prophetic dreams are gifted people because we are seers. Joseph was a seer. And a whole lot of other disciples in the Bible will say, I saw, you know, I saw. So that's why I'm saying that I don't know a lot about Islamic faith. I know a lot about Christianity. But even the coming of Jesus was a prophecy. That
in a dream?
In a dream.
Yeah.
So when we're saying that dreams are demonic, it's because we are afraid of understanding that we and Creator are one, and that we have access to Creator without the institutions. You defined earlier on that religion is an institution, and and spirituality can exist outside of that, because we also understand that those institutions have to keep people coming to the institutions, making them believe that that's the only way one can connect to Creator. But that's not true, because when you are dreaming, it shows that you are connected. When you are dreaming, it shows that you are rooted, and you have access to the spirit world where Creator and Amadlozi, Abagini are.
So people take their dreams seriously?
Definitely, because it's a message from the spirit world. So if you ignore it, some people say, "Oh, minang ne party," you know, I have bad luck, and things are just happening to me. nothing happens to us. Our dreams are always speaking to us, but are you paying attention to the messages that Spirit is giving and Spirit is guiding you? Because if you're not paying attention, then it's totally accident. But you had a dream.
You were warned.
You were warned.
And then other people say I have a deja vu. It's like I was here before. I've seen this happening, and it's a paranormal. It's a paranormal space, which I've always been wondering. Maybe our definition of what a human being is like is limited only to the 5 senses. Now, when you begin to talk about deja vu, premonition, prophecies, which are a reality to many people, then people begin to become a bit uncomfortable. I want us to move a bit further. Thanks for that one. Thanks for that one on the dreams. Let's step one step forward and talk about African prophets and the role which they played in terms of warning and telling the nations what will come ahead. What sort of gifting will that be? I'm looking at Ngawase, for example, in the Xhosa space. I'm looking at the Karanga, the Chaminukas, the Neanders, and etc. You go to the Zulus. There was this whole phenomena of prophetic ministry. What's your take on that? And while you're on that, I want you to compare that kind of a prophetic ministry with what we are seeing in churches today.
Yeah. And I mean, recently we also have our incredible Babu Credo Muta was a seer as well. Manzumba was also a seer. And with what is currently happening, I think because we have tended to make a mediocre of ourselves, that even sometimes when there is genuine prophets, we don't see it. What I know about prophecy and a gift of seeing, it's never imposing upon anybody's will. So the minute for me what you are seeing has to be imposed.
Say that again. That's important. That's important because many of our pastors, when they come to us and they have a prophecy on you, what God has shown them about you, with whatever you must now pay back for what God has shown you, let's cut out the problems. But it comes in with it's an instruction. It's enforced on you and you must, or else.
I think I have a problem once a prophecy is imposed upon somebody else's will. Because for me, even when I dream of somebody, normally with the people I know, I would share the dream with no attachment to whether they believe me or whether they sign up or whether they're going to do anything about it. I'm just passing on a message. Because a dreamer is a messenger. You're a messenger of light. And you have to shed the light but not impose your way, because when God comes and say, this is what I'm seeing, God does not come say, then you are the way, the truth, and the life. Because what's happening right now in the churches is that they prophesy and then the pastors now want to believe that they're the only way, the truth, and the life. So for you to actually deal with the problem that I've seen in the dream, you need to come to me to sort it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Gogo Dineo here. Traditional. She wants to put on the title of Sangoma with pride. Now, I want to turn some tables here and it's going to get uncomfortable. She is fully into the practice space of healing and spirituality. Here is the question. Do we have pastors and religious leaders in the Christian space who come for consultation?
Definitely. And some come in secret because they want something to use against other people.
Against other pastors?
Yes,
or other
and I have
members?
a problem with... I have problems...
You have had experiences of ministers?
Yeah.
Coming...
Yeah, and I can tell you what they want.
When these pastors come, on your top 4, top 5 requirements, I hear the first one. They are coming because they want muti or something for someone else. What else are they looking for when they come to you?
So they're also looking to make more money.
They want money.
And they're looking for the congregation to listen to them.
They want their voice to be heard by the congregation.
And they want more numbers. We want our church to be bigger. And
he wants to grow his church.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to grow your church. But again, for me, the minute it is an imposing upon other people's will, the minute you say, because some pastors want is tunes. Because, uktuga nokuhlonishwa, it's two different things. To be feared and respected.
But he's here.
Yes, he's here. But are you wanting that because something has happened in your energy field that is taken? Because also we need to understand, ubufundis, it's a calling. So maybe you actually, when you are there, I'm like, maybe you are there because you're not called to be a minister. Because to minister is to teach. teach. You know, to teach is to enlighten. To enlighten is to grow people. To grow people is to help them be in awareness. And that is a gift because it's a calling.
What you are saying is very important because it might liberate someone out there who goes to church thinking that they're in church. Meanwhile, they are being held by the spell of the pastor who is there. So a pastor might end up carrying things into his church or putting things around his building or putting oils on his faces or bathing in a certain way. I'm not judging. I'm not judging. But I'm just saying when a member is sitting in front of you and they think they're listening to a man of God and yet they're being managed, for me it throws... Ladies and gentlemen, this thing, we are going to get the heads rolling here. We'll be going for a short break. When I come back, I want to Gogo Dineo. I know it might be slightly too close, but just tell us some of the basic prescriptions you give to the pastors so that I want the member to know. Because if the pastor has access to you, why must the member not have access to you? We'll be back right after the break. Don't go away. Gogo Dineo on Sankofa.
From rural to urban, we bring you local and international sport.
From Cape to Cairo, from Nairobi to Kinshasa. As we stand out amongst the rest. And we are here to inspire you.
From the Horn of Africa to the Equator's indigenous people.
Galaxy Universal Network. Abapenyi bezindaba nezintatheli ezingesabilutho. Bila woga, upendeleo, hatuogopi chochote.
Channel 500 on Starset. This is Galaxy Universal Network.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with Starsat.
Thank you very much and welcome back. And while we were away, Gogo Dineo was beginning to ask me some questions. Maybe I'll give you a chance towards the end also to throw in one or two questions.
I would love to.
Yeah, and then you can pick my brain also here and there. But before we left for the break, I was very fascinated and I'm quite interested, honestly speaking, on now that we know that ministers, they come for... Some ministers, they come for consultation.
Yeah.
That's an established fact.
Yeah.
Whether it is here or in other countries, we can discuss that another day. But you, I witness that ministers have come to you seeking for potions.
Even congregants who saw that they're born again, they only come to us when they need something to be imposed upon another person. The number one I
That's
get...
witchcraft,
number one, I remember there was an incident where somebody came and said, my husband is about to leave me and they can't leave. And I said, but if they choose to leave, it's their choice. It means they're done with the relationship. And he said, no. And I said, okay, let me check what's going on. I said, Gogo, you have actually denied you haven't performed the right kinds of rituals. One, to solidify your marriage.
Your relationship.
Because when you get married, there has to be spiritual rituals to make sure that your relationship is also spiritually guarded against external forces. Number two, you have denied who you are as an African child. So your ancestors don't even know you. So how are you supposed to flourish? And she said, I don't want to know any of those things. I just want something to make my husband stay.
Give him a potion and he must stay.
No, but I then pulled out, I was like, that's also unchristian.
Wow.
What,
you are now counseling a Christian.
Yes, I was like, that's very unchristian.
You want
what kind of love is this? Where you are going to force somebody else who's clearly said, I don't want to stay in this relationship.
And you want to bind them with
potions. Them with a potion. And then you're going to say and make a testimony at church that the pastor prayed. The pastor prayed for me.
They will never give you credit.
Exactly. You know? But I also said, I don't do potions. But I don't do potions.
What happens in this world? What happens in this world? But I want to stick to that question. The potions that you give the pastors.
Yeah.
Maybe just take us again gently as to this one when they finally leave. I heard the one who is Tunzi. The one someone wants a shadow. The ones. What other potions do you give?
Well,
people?
Unfortunately, I don't give potions to manipulate.
Or what advices?
Yes. I work with the pastor, so I'd work with you, and I would also need you to understand that what we're doing is not secretive.
Okay.
Because you cannot then want the things that you go and then preach against in the church. Because it means that because most who preach against those things and then they use the dark side. Then they don't want people coming to us who are light workers. Yes, because I would come to you and say, now your pastor is busy with you. You are over donating in church. You are over offering.
You under a spell.
No, there was one I worked with where every month she would be giving a pastor 100,000 and then paid a deposit for the pastor's house. The pastor told them they want a Mercedes-Benz, and because the church doesn't want her to dream, because remember, dreams are messages from the spirit. She was having warning dreams against the pastor. The pastor coming into the room naked. Yes, in her dreams, and it would be very eerie and freaky. And I said, your ancestors are warning you. But she was under some kind of spell, and we did it to do something. So even when I work with pastors,
to wake up.
It's never to do something against other people, but I can work with the pastor to say, Suglungisa ganjani. How do we make you be in alignment? Because the very same people you speak about in the Bible don't exist, so it makes them ancestors. You might not have his tunes because the person who's gifting you the gift of ministry wants you to align with them. So I will do things to work for you.
To align the person.
To align you so that you can have his tunes that you are supposed to do. Or I can actually say ministry is not what you are called to do.
My word. So what kunabafundisi esinabo lapha abanezithunzi ngempela abazitholele in the other side where they say it's all evil coming from that side. That's quite an interesting revelation.
No, because they don't want you to go to the other side, because then the other side will reveal, this tunes is not natural. This is actually manipulated. This is man-made. This comes with this and this and this. Because if I'm giving you tunes, I'm restoring what is within you already. So what I'm doing, I'm bula. You know, because there's so much that has happened in your life that has deterred or distracted that tunzisako, that energy field. So I'm restoring you back to health.
We are still on the program here, Sankofa, discussing live stuff with Gogo Dineo, who is taking us on a nature walk around the greater spiritual space. There is this other issue again. I know you know these things, so I'm free to ask, and I'm that social maverick who constantly wants people to learn.
Yeah.
And there's this issue that is also in conversation, the issue about tikolosh. About tikolosh.
Yes.
Getting these things. What are these things? This one has got things. We are in Africa here, so there are people who are set up businesses and with things, and apparently these things eat things that are complex. And I've heard lots of stories. I've not experienced, I've not seen, but in my space of spiritual growth, I've bumped on information to that effect. What is tikolosh?
So tikolosh, vele, it's a zombie. And there's different kinds of tikoloshes. There's one that are just animal forms, and then there's one that are half human and half animal. And I also didn't believe in tikoloshis, all those kind of crazy things, until I experienced one. Because I've learned that in the world of spirituality, just because you don't believe in it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And sometimes you have to experience. I never really believed in witchcraft until I experienced it. And I needed to learn, because I think my ancestors, because of my Christian background and my Western thinking, they need me to experience certain things so that I can know indeed they exist. And they can also offer me tools to, you know, to cut them off, to clear them off, and to heal myself from those experiences. but also with things with accumulated wealth. And we should be careful as Africans, because sometimes I'm not so excited to speak about that, because colonially we are not meant to succeed as black people. Therefore, every black person who is wealthy or doing well for themselves is said to have that thing. Because I'm Gogo Dineo, like there's no way Sangoma can be so successful. Because people need to understand in the so if you are working and are listening and aligned to your people, so you will see the results. As you put in the work, you see the results. But when you have instant wealth, and we've seen Gutaibo, you can't move from this as if you won the lottery. You can't move from 0 to 100. We should see you build, because wealth is built. It's accumulated. It's not boom instant, unless if you've won the lottery. Then can we say yebo gunjalo. But when somebody is accumulating wealth in a very strange way, and then there's also strange things that are happening around them. I mean, we know Gutabanta Batwele, we always used to be told that they always have to do slaughtering. Rituals. But now we also understand what I've come to realize, that there's Abanta Batwele that they don't actually have to sacrifice any animal or their loved ones. They actually batwala and they use sex, because sex is another form. Because we understand the power of sex. Yes.
As led. There are slave queens here. These Dubai girls. Who apparently,
and they have to be very careful.
You see lots of stories that they slept with someone, then it woke up, it was a snake.
They have to be very
all sorts
careful.
of weird things that are happening.
And I mean, I'm as a spiritualist, I say people have a freedom of choice, but be conscious and be wise in choosing, because we can sometimes want to choose the easier route, but it comes with very heavy consequences and a heavy price. So Labanta Banyabatwele, they don't actually have to slaughter or do things. It's about, it needs some sort of stimulus, and sex is a stimulus. There's people who would wake up and it's like, I don't know, I didn't agree to sleeping with you. We went out for drinks, it was nice in a club, and I came back, and this is what's happening. It's because they then feed that spirit that is generating the money through sex.
Wow. So there are types of technologies and types of spirits here, which apparently, as we are hearing from Gogo Dineo, some of these things feed on sex.
Yes.
Some of them feed on children. Some of them feed on wives. Some of them feed on food.
And some of them feed on families. Some of them feed on other people. You know, and please, I don't have any of those things. I need to say, because I don't want people who are watching will come and DM me and ask me. People have asked me if I've got rats that can go and steal people's money.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yes. You might say that again. You know, it's because people are not willing to put in the work. Success is hard work. It takes courage, and it takes failing to know how to do it better. And we don't want to do that, because we all want to be like everybody else, but not ourselves.
Wow.
Hence we go and do nasty things like that.
So it's a true thing. There are people about 12, people who are carrying these things.
Yeah.
Let's move over to another question that I think would be interesting. The purpose of the show is both to reveal, you know, the dark sides, good sides, so people can know. When people have information, they can make decisions.
Yeah.
The issue that I want us to step into, the inheritance of witchcraft.
Yeah.
Or lawyer within families. How does this work in your experience and in your knowledge and some of your counseling sessions that you have done? The darker side. I know there's a beautiful side of Bokobela, who do actually the healing and the good things that are happening. Sunday Times report, Sunday World reports some women fell from transport in Soshanguve and things like that. Where you know it's a darker side of spirituality.
Yes.
What happens there, and how does it happen that a child who was never initiated like one-on-one wakes up in the morning and actually this thing is happening to them?
So I want to ask you something as a farmer. In order for a seed to grow, what does it need? If you are planting a seed, what does it need?
Soil and water.
Right, but it needs fertile soil, and it needs the right kinds of water, and a whole lot of other things. So even for witchcraft, it needs a fertile ground for it to sprout. Because if you are evil in your heart, you are actually a hub of witchcraft. Because we have because we say pilu iloya fitaskhar inhliziyo ithakatha ukundlula umuthi. Because I say to me, by the time you leave your house and come to my my practice and ask for umuti so that you can keep a man, umuti so that you can make extra money than work for it. Anything that's like
go and
that.
steal other people's money.
You are
You are a
extra
witch.
winner. You are a premium witch.
Without using roots.
Yeah, the heart. No, by the time you want roots,
I hear you.
You are premium.
Yeah.
You are elite witch.
You are platinum.
You are platinum. You know, you are a platinum a witch because it starts in the heart. And I say a lot of people are witches without having to use roots.
I want to throw in something.
And that's why those things can pass on from one family.
One generation to another.
You know how they do that? Because in the family there's already turmoil.
Yes.
There's already toxicity.
Yes.
There's a lack of love. There's a lack of unity in that family system. So we are continuously perpetuating
passing it on.
And passing
when you have
on
children,
that. Yes.
you give them the same poison.
Yeah, ubanusile. So
and
all those things.
Transmit.
Exactly.
I want us to move to something. This one will give us trouble on social media. But I want you to take your position as a spiritual person and a person in practice. There are ladies who come seeking for potions to keep their husbands with the rituals that go with it. Comes a time when the woman stops doing the rituals and the medication expires. What happens the day the medication expires? And I want you to think in the light of femicide. I want you to think in the light of the South African terrain and what happens when someone is supposed to be performing. It's just like a ticology. Because if you are picking medicine from someone is taking muti from you with an intention, then you're already in the space of witchcraft. So can you tell us what is the relationship of the spirituality of the men in the country, the spirituality of the women in the country, the quality of the marriages that we are running, and what is sustaining those marriages? And in the event that the potions that were given expires, what happens?
Sometimes they don't even expire. As a woman, you want out. As a man, you want out of that relationship. But now you have kept this person hooked because now they're obsessed and they're
possessed with you.
Yes, the only thing they see it's you, and they don't want anything else. And now you're like, oh no, this man has become too much. Yes, no, this is too much because now you feel like they're all over the place. They're cramping your style.
Yeah.
Right? So, and then you try and run away, then we see deadly consequences. And it's to say that in the context of this, and not every man who kills a woman is because the woman is bewitched.
Hence I wanted to qualify.
But as a healer, I've also came across experiences where men have been given certain things. And once we take those things out, they rage. They fume, they boil, and we need to cancel them.
Because they're going to kill their wife. Because you're being managed by...
Even before we do it, we need to do counseling and say, understand there's something. And I want personally say, unless if I see your life is in danger, I'm going to say your wife is a problem. But I'll say there's something that has happened to you and we need to deal with it. But we need to build a level of emotional intelligence
prior,
so that when you extract that toxin in the body, because when it's extracted in the body, there's going to be erection. Yes.
And you're a new person.
And then light comes and you realize I've been made into a fool. Actually bought this person 3 houses and I'm in so much debt and all of this and all of that and all of that. So we need to be able to understand that sometimes, not always, and this is not, sometimes when unexplainable violent situations happen, there could be a spiritual reason.
You are hearing things here today. You are hearing things you won't hear this on any other station where we present it uncut as is. Because the reality is people need to know that spirituality controls physicality, and those who have access to your energies at that level, they can tamper with them and cause certain things to happen. I want us to step on someone's toe again.
Hey, you like stepping on people's toes, eh?
Because it's true. It's true. Politicians.
Yeah.
How many come before elections?
You know, I think people, and we should not demonize people coming for their things.
You know why I'm saying that?
Yeah.
Because you come to Gogo Dineo, she helps you. You go to Parliament, you call it a witchcraft act.
Yeah.
It's still the same thing again. Pastors come, they get what they want. When they're outside, they call that place the demon. I want to demystify this corner. Hence, when I'm asking about the politicians, I'm doing so deliberately. Because the fact that they come in private for consultation does not mean that in the morning
Yeah, I want to say, fortunately, I work with people who also align to my principles and values, because I don't work with you as a once-off thing. So we can't work with you because now you're wanting to win elections. We are working with you as a human being that needs to thrive and prosper in all aspects of their life, relationships, work, career, business, etc., etc. Because that's important for me. That's a value. So when people come and say to me, I don't do quick solutions. I don't, because I don't have them.
You don't do quick fix.
No, you know, I don't do quickies.
One night stands.
No, I don't do those because they don't work for me. You know, they're not part of my principles as well. And you need to put in the work in order for you to see the results. So when people have been, because I have worked with people, but when we've had a relationship, it's an ongoing, and when it comes to now we're going to election, it's an add-on to what already they started. So when people come, I'll tell you and be honest, like, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm not going to do something to make all of them look ugly. I'm going to work with you so that you can actually illuminate your light. You can vibrate at a higher frequency and become a better politician.
Wow. This one, I want to take it to the Department of the Children, the young people, because I want everyone to benefit. The young people of our days who experiment with sex.
Ish.
Let's just unearth that one.
Yeah.
Gloves off.
Yeah.
You are a traditionalist, or you are a spiritualist in all sense.
Yeah.
We have Christians on the other side who are saying whatever they are saying on the other end. And you come around on the other end. I want to see something here. I want to hear the quality of counseling and advice you can give to a young man out there and a young woman out there who thinks that sex is entertainment. What is your advice, purely from an Afrocentric perspective?
Sex can be attracting energy vampires. And that's what I always teach. People always talk about spiritual husbands and soul ties. It's because because we understand that when people think it's sex, it's just an exchange of bodies, but it's an exchange of spirit. Because you don't know the person that you are sleeping or entertaining yourself with comes from a lineage of witches. So when you sleep with them, that energy gets passed on to you. Yeah. So be careful what you're doing, because in the spirit world, things don't just happen. You might be having a disease right now because there's a lot of people who experience sleeping with people they don't know. They wake up and it looks like they've just had sex. You know, one, it could have been that thing was sent to prevent you from being married or being in a healthy relationship, but also what you've also done and the choices that you've made, because people make choices to say, it's my body, it's my life, I'm gonna just go and sleep around. You might be giving of yourself to the wrong kinds of people, and you might end up with the wrong kinds of things, because this is sacred. Even African spiritual, this is a sacred body. It's a temple. And that's what I said when we spoke about food. Everything is food.
Eddie Griffin says, I don't believe in going to church, because the Bible says God does not dwell in the houses that are built by man. I am actually walking in church because my body is the temple.
Yes, yes.
I had to make a good laugh.
And for young people, and especially young people, I've come across a lot of young people who have went and had one night stands, or we experiment and we realize that as in we are playing with fire. But when we come and give you warnings to say, be careful, because you are not only sleeping with the body, you are sleeping with their spirit.
With the spirit.
And even with their body, you don't know if this person has killed the person. So if they've killed the person and your two bodies come, that energy gets stuck on you. Right? If this person has raped somebody, that energy comes, and then you go around and people don't like you and people hate you. And so why do people like me? It's because you are busy giving yourself off to energy vampires. That's what energy vampires are people who are vibrating low, and even people are money. Like I said earlier on, that abantu abasathwali ngenyoka and ngamatokoloshi kuphela, they use sex because you sleep with that thing. So some people
they're right at the low energy level. They're on the lowest side.
Sex is a creator energy. Sex is spirit. People think that it was only about procreation and making sure there's more kids. It's not about that. It's about, and for women especially, because we are incubators, we harbor energy.
I would have failed.
We are recipients.
I would have failed on this show if I don't ask you quick fixes and quick medicines around corona. Should someone feel they are having a fever and stuff like that, basic homemade relief sort of processes? What must a person do, both from prevention and in the event one feels like?
They say prevention is better than cure. This is a time where we actually return to some basic home practices. Mpepo is a non-negotiable. You have to have mpepo because we know it's antibacterial.
Mpepo is sage, yes. For those that have a problem. It's sage, yeah.
It's called African sage.
African sage.
Yes, and it's got very good medicinal properties because you can drink it as a tea when you know when you feel like you've got some symptoms of corona or flu even.
Okay.
Right, and then add honey, add ginger, you add turmeric.
Even better.
Even much more better.
Even better.
So that's, and ginger.
And ginger.
And ginger. And these are the things you have at home. Mhlonyani, we all know Mhlonyani, everybody has been saying good to Mhlonyani. But I don't want to also come here and say, no, I've got a cure for corona. I don't.
Okay.
Right?
But because, preventative
the preventative things. And steam. Futa.
Steam.
Is to steam.
How do you steam?
So, very quick at home. You put a pot, and in town, downtown town, and in these little shops, they have these made steamers where it's a bucket, and then it's got a plug where you could steam in it. You can actually even steam with mpepo because it's very even ginger. It's going to decongest you if you use it. So to steam, because we also understand that the virus does not live in a very hot
environment.
In a hot environment. So those are things that people can actually do at home, and you can even grow your own mhlonyani. I saw somebody on Instagram the other day selling pots.
We have a few minutes left. At least I can throw them back to you. You can ask me a few questions, and I will call it a night.
So I mean, now that I was talking, so I'm forgetting my questions. But I want to understand from your perspective, can Christianity and African spirituality coexist?
Christianity and African tradition coexist. Initially, if we can understand that Africans are spiritual by nature. It is Christianity that actually has taught us that you become spiritual on a day and on an event. And at the end of the day, you have a religion that takes you to a place rather than the religion that takes you into a place. So in my own study, in my growth, I discovered that I was running a schizophrenic life, the life of the church and the life of the world, though I was in the ministerial space. And I felt like my spirit was away. I needed an environment, a church with an organ, etc., to experience some sort of holy space. But again, even in the midst of prayer, it became meaningless. And I felt lots was missing. So I started a journey of trying to define what is spirituality and how can a person live a spiritual life. So when I started learning on health and diets and fastings and etc., just to rewire my head. And at the end of the day, I discovered that actually the African lifestyle has much more of its spirituality than the so-called formal Christianity, which is actually an institution rather than a spiritual connecting center.
Other thing, I think we have a few minutes. There's a lot of things that are going on social media about Nigerian must fall, South African first. What is your take as a Zimbabwean? And I'm sure you know Zimbabwean born, because I say where we are born, it's our geographical location, but we are Africans. So what do you take when people start coming at you and criticizing you because of your geographical birthplace in relation to the work that you're doing?
It's a multiple question.
Yeah.
Because you are looking also at the inherited education that has been given to the South African, being locked away from everybody else for such a long time. I bet you if the leaders of the ANC would be honest enough to give us on paper how much money did Kenneth Kaunda raise for ANC, how much money did Zimbabwe raise for ANC, and how many times was Bulawayo bombed, including where I was staying, Swaziland, Nigeria. I met a journalist the other day who was actually working with the PAC in Nigeria. Old man. Please take this letter if you mind any ANC person, give them. The guys, when they came back, they never even looked back. Now, you understand that the African problem, your neighboring friends who are Makwerekweres, when South Africa was in problems, we came to the fore to assist. The problem we have, I'm actually thinking now, had South Africa been liberated first before other African countries, I wonder if South Africa would have actually become a haven to assist foreign countries to win their independence. Having said that, therefore, we understand the missing information. I'm not condoning the attitude also and the immigration issues. Let me be very frank. Half or a quarter of those Nigerian boys that are standing on the streets are above first degree. Educated, but they can't work. He's a chemistry engineer. He is a mechanic. He is what. And they're doing nothing. And they're sitting around the tree. And because of immigration issues, you could actually absorb this manpower into work where they can earn legitimate and earn a decent living. So we end up again pushing the foreigners into a corner of unemployment. And then you end up having crime and other things that are, I'm not condoning what's happening, but the reality is that we have created a breeding ground of crime over and above the Benin Conference and the borders that further on sideline us. And again, when the same community is pushed into a corner, the issue of drugs and pimping of girls, then it becomes a problem. So it's quite a complex problem.
And
30 seconds for you, madam.
No, but I also struggle with that because I say that these cartels are not only run by Nigerians, they probably own like 10% of the stake in the cartels.
There you go.
So if people
Police are involved?
Yes, if people actually could look, it's not the yes, the Nigerians might be part of it, but there are other races that we know of that
Somalis,
actually, you know,
Ethiopians, the whole group.
And non-Africans as well.
Wow. And China, of course, and the
Yes.
Chinese. I saw some Chinese people blowing nyaope downtown there. Quite interesting. Give us your closing remarks, Gogo Dineo. Give us your closing remarks.
My closing remarks is that people who are not connected to their African ancestry, they're like a tree without roots, with no ability to bear fruit.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it for yourself from Gogo Dineo on your program, your show, Sankofa, looking backward at the future, looking for those ancient African solutions and pitching as we are moving into the future. Be spiritual, stay away from sex and other things. Don't do what I wouldn't do. If you do it better.
2 minutes.
Experience the extraordinary.
Feeling is there that, you're doing something special.
Have you lost it? Move!
Stop being so dramatic, Mira.
Challenge your ordinary.
Why don't you start a dance class?
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
The coronavirus outbreak.
Experience the extraordinary.
Tremendous waste and tremendous fraud. Mexico is, in fact, you will soon find out.
It is a day to celebrate.
We don't approve at all what's going on.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily unusual.
Challenge your ordinary.
Not only the government, the municipality here has had no plan.
Experience the extraordinary with StarSat.
From rural to urban,